So as of October 1st, which by the time you guys are seeing this, it should be like maybe a week or so out, I'll have owned this studio space for about a year. And I kind of wanted to talk about it and share my experience because I feel like there's not a lot of information out there, and maybe you're thinking about making this sort of investment, and I want to kind of give my 2 cents as a DP especially. I feel like traditionally you see like directors or like production companies or photographers sort of make this investment, but as a cinematographer, I kind of wanted to give my insight and my perspective on sort of what this whole thing has been like while cleaning the space, which is what you're seeing now. It's been kind of a weird mess for a little bit now. Just to give you some context for what the footage is. I want before I get into like the nuances of stuff, I want to kind of talk about like, do I regret it? You know, I've had this space for a year. I had the opportunity to renew the lease, which, spoiler, I did. And kind of the first thing I asked myself before I renewed it was, do I regret it? Not at all. Initially, I had been kind of thinking back and forth on this sort of thing. Would it be worth it? Would it not be worth it? But over time, I've sort of found more and more benefits, and I've found it to be incredibly fulfilling in a lot of different ways for me. So how did I get into this space? What's like the origin for me having the keys to this place? I had actually been looking for a space for a while. I had previously had kind of a personal office space just to kind of get away from my place. I think like a WeWork or like you know one of those like co-working spaces. I had one of those. I had like a little private office, and over time, like very very quickly, it turned into something that wasn't really as fulfilling as I hoped it would be. And it also kind of limited how I could grow and kind of what direction I could go in. Again, because it's like a traditional office. It's not like great for a creative person, really. And I had kind of wanted to move in a different direction into sort of a more traditional space like this. And initially I had looked for a little bit after I, ended my lease with the other office. I had looked into a space with a few freelancer friends. We did some searching. We sort of looked around. And we couldn't really land on anything. It just kind of like we were all kind of thinking different things, and also, I also felt like I was putting in a lot of work to move forward with this, and everybody else wasn't. So I was like, all right, maybe this isn't the group of freelancers that are going to be able to find a space. So I did some research by myself. I did some research for a while. I think it was like 2 months or something, 2-3 months or something. And they were all kind of out of my price range. So I decided, all right, I'm going to scrap this. Maybe in the future, depending on where my career's at, I can think about this a little bit more. So several months go by, like 8, 9, 10 months go by. And a director friend of mine mentions looking for an additional studio mate for his space. Just because he wants to have people, I guess. And I mentioned being interested, and he was like, okay, great. I'm going to need you to sign a lease on Wednesday. And I think it was Friday. Like the previous Friday, he needed it signed next Wednesday. I was like, oh, I got to commit to a year fast. Mind you, I hadn't even seen the space, but I know from like some of his work that I had seen, I was like, oh, this is probably the space and it's probably good, so I'll sign. And then 2 months after that, I moved in, and that was the first time I had seen the space, which was really hilarious. No, I'm lying to you. So the day that we signed, I hadn't seen the space, and I went to my director friend. I was like, "Hey, man, can I like?" This is like right after we signed the lease, and I was like, "Hey, man, before I get going, can I see the space?" He's like, "Oh shit!" It's like, "Yeah, come see the space." And I didn't regret it after that, but I knew I was getting into something that was going to be really fun and fulfilling and all that sort of stuff. We didn't actually start out with a psych stage. It was sort of a big empty space that had like pretty good internet, AC, and there's another section which is directly behind the camera with a locked equipment room to store things. And I sort of saw it as like this new chapter in my life, and it was a blank canvas with a lot of personality because there was like little touches, like the fridge had been in there, and there had been some other personality things from everybody in here, which I want to talk about it being like a really great benefit was this sort of community aspect of it. Like I get to talk and be amongst really exciting and cool creatives in their craft, and also just knowing that like it's a mutual, like we're in this together sort of thing is really nice to know, and kind of gives me a little bit more confidence even in moments where I'm like questioning my career or anything like that. Like it's really good to know that like at least we have each other. All we have is each other, so that's like a really great thing for me. Before I get into sort of the way that I use this space, I want to talk about maintenance first. So maintenance, to be honest, is like not a lot now that I'm reflecting on this past year. I'm gonna get into pre the psych stage and then post psych stage. So pre psych stage, it was kind of like nothing really. I mean, it was just sort of like, make sure the equipment room is locked, and just unplug the AC whenever you leave. Obviously now it's different because it's on a schedule, but just make sure it's all locked up. And just to give you guys some context, electric and our AC is included in our rental price, so we can use as much as we need. It won't add or subtract to our bill if we use less or more. So just with that in mind, there isn't really a lot of maintenance. It's just sort of locking up and just turning everything off before you leave. And just making sure all the stands and stuff are organized and all your stuff is back. Obviously, it's like when you're leaving a traditional office space, it's the same. But I want to talk about the maintenance of the psych, which I think has been kind of a really weird experience for us. So obviously, we get the psych installed. Something weird happened with our floor. I can't remember the specific problem, but it was like getting inflated. So when you kind of looked at it at a profile, it sort of turned into this wavy, like the ground wasn't flat. It was like a wave, right? And so we contacted our contractor that was like assigned for our psych station. I was like, hey, homie, can we get this fixed? He's like, homie, I got you. I'll fix it. So we got it fixed kind of within a day or so. And it wasn't at any additional cost to us. Just because, again, the stage was provided by the building. So we got like a really great deal on it. And they were able to come in and like, service everything at no additional cost to us. And so that was taken care of. That was like an issue in our space for maybe like 3 to 5 days. And then we had another instance where a photographer was taking photos facing the window and kind of using the natural light to photograph merchandise. And he was high up on a ladder. And so I guess maybe he took a confident step and kind of stepped down from a higher step than you normally would. and he broke the curve on the cyc, which it was maybe about the size of someone's like heel on their foot. So it was like like about, I think the guy was like a size like 10 or 11 shoe. So he had a hole about that big. But again, same thing. We contacted our contractor and he fixed it within a day, which is really great. It's been fairly maintenance free otherwise. And then another thing that I kind of realized was kind of more expensive than I thought. Again, aside from like those two repairs, something that I didn't realize, or I guess I didn't think about the cost of, was the cost of the paint for the cyc. Yo, that shit is expensive. Okay, so for context, we buy a specific paint from B&H. It's like $150 for 2 gallons, and I think, if I remember my math correctly, it's like 2 coats, which clears up all the dirt and stuff and makes it like as even as it can be, is about a gallon, give or take. Mind you, this site is 250 square feet. It gets expensive pretty fast. It gets expensive really fast. Luckily, we've only had to do that twice, so we've only gone through like one of the containers. We ultimately just decided that you can step on it wherever, and if you want a fresh coat of paint, that's going to be, labor and the cost of the paint. So that's just ultimately what we decided to go with, because I think if we decided to paint it every time, it would just we'd lose our minds. So there's not a lot of pressure to keep off the site, which is really great. But yeah, just wanted to talk about those things. Overall, maintenance has been pretty easy. It's not as maintenance heavy as you would expect. Obviously we're leasing the space, so it's not like I have to maintain building stuff. So it makes it fairly simple to have this sort of space. And then obviously something I recommend is also to get a security system set up. Obviously surveillance cameras. We have kind of one of those Google Nest systems. So we have a camera in the equipment room in the main area, and then we have a camera outside of the door, and then a lock pad. So like if somebody rents the space, none of us have to be there. They can let themselves in. And we haven't really had any break-ins. And if we do, we have cameras and we can make a report as we need to. But luckily that hasn't happened. So yeah, just really quickly on maintenance. That's kind of the touching points. Overall, not as expensive as you think. The hard part is getting into the space. And I wish you good luck on that. But I kind of want to talk about the way that I've used the space. Obviously, there's shooting stuff, which is kind of self-explanatory. Have all our lights in here. Have all my cameras in here. Can just shoot anything you decide. I've done a few photo shoots already. I've done a few camera tests for an upcoming short film. And then potentially another one for a larger project down the road. But it's been really great to just be like, hey, I have the space. Let's do it. We can cut the budget. And then it's the same as like kind of owning gear. Like you can kind of bring it up as like, hey, I have this space. It's going to be a fee though. And it still would be less than trying to rent it outside of that. So, that's another thing that I've been able to offer that's been really incredible to productions that I've been on. So obviously it's to shoot, right? That's great. To work. So as far as like, work and life balance, I think by having a separate space to do all your work in is great. And you can't see it here, obviously, but there's another section on the left, to camera left, like just in front of the psych stage. There's a bunch of tables. There's like 4 or 5 tables there, and that's kind of for us to work in. I used to have more of a desk there, like I had a monitor, keyboard, mouse, that sort of thing. And I eventually decided just to move it back into my place, just because if I'm going to lounge with everything, right? So when I'm here, The table is really big, and so I can have my laptop open, I can have my notebook open, and just kind of do all the different things, sit through all my pre-pro meetings. It's definitely a much better space and a much better desk to work out of, because the desk in my place is also very small. So, and again, having zero distractions and also being in a space that sort of like mentally motivates you to move forward it does wonders, way more than I ever expected it to. So yeah, I have to do work out of here, otherwise I lose my mind. I'm recording this in the space right now, so that kind of tells you, like, how much work is being done here, at least for myself personally. I think other studio mates sort of use it as like a shooting space in many regards. And kind of the last thing that I use this space for is just kind of to hang. I feel like this has kind of been something that's been an interesting benefit that's come out of it. I've had a lot of friends come to visit. When I do the podcast, I have the guests kind of hanging out, which is really great. Not a space that I expected to do that, but it's been like an unexpected benefit for that sort of thing. And it's been really nice just to kind of have that ambiance. And we have a big Sonos speaker in here, so we blast music on occasion. And again, just having that sort of third place to kind of have friends and just to kind of hang, that's like bigger and a little bit more open than my place would be, is really cool, and it's a really positive benefit, which again turns into inspiration for other things and other people. That's another really positive thing that I've been able to see. So yeah, for these reasons, it's been a really, really incredibly beneficial thing for me, and now it's kind of an investment that is instrumental to my process and just kind of my life as a cinematographer. I do all my work here, all my some shoots here, any camera rentals come out of here, any meetings, pre-pro meetings, all the stuff for the channel, all my social media stuff is here, and it's instrumental to kind of work and to be able to have a space to do the things that I need to do is great. And also just a space to hang is really incredible. But yeah, this has sort of been my 2 cents and my experience with this sort of space. Hopefully it's helpful to somebody who's kind of looking to make that investment. And if you have any questions, please feel free to send me a DM on Instagram at Alex Leo Garcia, or just leave a comment. Like I'll get to it with sort of the best answer I can give you. But yeah, I'll see you on the next one. Peace.